London, Wales,
England, Bath, England.
Bath.
He's taking a bath.
In England. Okay.
But it's 5 hours ahead. I mean,
He thinks he's in
it's like 11
while he's
Dedication.
All right, I'd like to call the meeting to order. It's 6 o'clock on Tuesday, May 23rd, City Council meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order and acknowledge that the press and public were duly notified of the meeting in accordance with the Freedom of Information Act. If you'll join me for invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Before we have our invocation, I'd love to just have a moment of silence for Luther Reynolds, the Chief of Police from Charleston. So just join me in a moment of silence for him, please. Father, we thank you for the day. We thank you for the beauty of it. Thank you for the wonderful temperatures we got to feel today. Pray for Luther Reynolds' family and just pray that you would encourage them and comfort them as they walk through the next week or so and deal with their loss. Father, pray that you will be with us tonight as we go about your business. Just help guide our conversations, discussions. Take care today. Just thank you for being with us, thank you for loving us. In your name I pray.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Roll call.
Councilmember Bogosian.
Here.
Councilmember Hahn.
Here.
Councilmember Myers.
Here.
Councilmember Ward.
Here.
Councilmember Streetman is on the phone.
Here.
Councilmember Popson.
Here.
Councilmember Anderson.
Here.
Councilmember Pierce.
Here.
Mayor Pounds.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. First item, citizens' comments.
Ms. Terry Hack.
Good evening. Good evening. I'm Terry Hack, representing Wild Dunes Resort. Thank you for your service to this great community and your ongoing efforts in addressing the noise ordinance before you. I would like to summarize the impact of this proposed noise ordinance on a private company operating in island homes, which in turn will affect the city's accommodations tax revenue, a vital source of financial support, as you heard earlier today in the budget presentation. The resort contributes a substantial percentage of the city tax revenue. In 2022, the resort paid $943,000 in accommodations taxes and $1.4 in other taxes. These contributions will increase in future years. The draft noise ordinance includes specific the restaurant, front beach businesses, sponsored events. These provisions create an unfair and adverse businesses who contribute to the city's tax revenue. While thoughtfully examining all channels to find an appropriate and accurate solution for the entire community, the proposed ordinance seems rushed, with speed to be more than consensus. Something we can change. Has been diligently working to mitigate noise concerns that may impact nearby neighbors. Please note, one particular neighbor has repeatedly expressed their dissatisfaction despite having chosen to design and build in 1999 next to an existing outdoor pool complex and the residence of Sweetgrass, which were completed in 2007. The resort conducted a baseline sound engineering study with the next study will be provided to assess what measures are suitable for our Wild Dunes community and the surrounding neighbors. Passing the noise ordinance before conducting the second study would be premature. I acknowledge that the noise ordinance has been on the agenda for several months, yet encourage you to wait the completion of the noise measures limits based on actual data. Please do not act on this ordinance tonight. Thank you for the opportunity to speak, and your attention to this matter is greatly appreciated. Thank you.
I don't see the second person that signed up, Mr. Klaus.
Okay.
And he's the only other one.
Very good, thank you. Next is special presentations. Chief O, you back?
All right, we'll make this pretty quick because we know I have a lot of homework to do.
Chief, are you talking about you?
I thought they got a pass. You don't get a pass on a night like this?
You know, one of the greatest moments hire, to serve. Then one of the most sweet moments is when that individual serves and has the opportunity to retire. And so it is a bittersweet moment for all of us, and done a wonderful job and to be sorely missed. And you just can't replace that institutional knowledge. But I just want to read a couple little notes I wrote because I wanted to stay on track and I didn't want to get this us as a fire department. Everybody here that served with Engineer McLizzie. It's an honor to formally recognize Engineer David McLizzie on his retirement after 25 years of loyal and dedicated service to the citizens and visitors to the Isle of Palms. In addition to his duties as a professional firefighter, Engineer McLizzie was responsible for our respiratory protection program, where he maintained, repaired, and tested our self-contained breathing apparatus. Our SCBA are critical to life safety and places. It's an important part of our personal protective equipment ensemble. It allows us to effectively and safely be protected and perform on the fire ground. And if you've ever seen some of those old movies with they take apart their weapon, a little piece and part, and they can do it blindfolded, that's what he could do with our self-contained breathing apparatus. As an engineer, he was responsible for driving and operating our fire suppression apparatus. Some of those, up to 43 feet long. He was tasked with driving and operating a fire engine, a ladder truck, could be a squad, a personal watercraft, or small boat during the course of his normal duties on his 24-hour. Engineer Dave McLizzie developed and honed that skill set to be able to drive and operate and safely travel congested roadways, navigate stormy waterways in the intercoastal or out on Front Beach. He could drive through a dynamic Front Beach environment where we have a lot of citizens and guests out there, visitors to the Isle of Palms when we're packed. He can drive to a building fire, an auto accident, that medical call, assist on the beach, and do it flawlessly. But most importantly, let it be known that he could also make a really mean cheesecake. Engineer McLizzie, we wish you the best in your retirement, and we look forward to your new adventures. Enjoy the time with your family and keep being an amazing father. And once again, congratulations, and on behalf of all of us, we wish you well. We have a couple of things to present to you. So this is his out coat, his jacket, and a lot of people signed it. There's a lot of great messages on there. His engineer badge, our patch, and then his collar brass from when he was an engineer. So once again, congratulations.
Can you bring a piece over here just so? Nice.
I think
He was trying.
Good, you're doing great.
He's our banner white.
I'd vote for him. Very nice.
Thank you.
Get the boys in it too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Chief, he's a ham.
Well, we worked together for over 20 years.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief and crew. Thank you all for being here. Dave, I think one of your sons was even impressed with some of the stuff you could do. Yeah, I think.
You want to say a few words? You sure?
About your son.
Yeah,
I'll bet he
I think he probably would. Thank you all for being here tonight. Appreciate that. And Dave, thank you for your service. That's not enough said, but you got our appreciation as you go into the next phase. So thank you. All right. Dave, if you could let him stay, this would be a lot more entertaining, I'm sure of that. Our next item, we have a city council meeting on April 25th, special May 2nd, special city workshop on May 9th, and committee meeting minutes are attached.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Any edits or changes that anyone needs to make?
Councilmember Pierce did send me some for
Okay.
clarification for the April
Others?
25th meeting.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. One item of old business, real quick, consideration of issuing a request for proposal for parking management services. We had great length conversations at our last workshop on this topic. There's a draft RFP in your packet. If we can have a motion and a second, we'll get to discussion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Desiree, what do you want to run through a timeline or any other items you would like to add to that?
Well, the version that you have in your packets of the request for proposals document, once approved, we'll get that out. I anticipate just very small changes. We'll insert the dates for the deadline for proposals. Anticipate having that out for a couple of weeks. As you noted, we are requiring a mandatory pre-bid brief meeting to make sure that everybody understands the expectations and the proposals, and that's typical. We typically do that for big RFPs, so we'll plan on doing that. We have not finalized the timeline yet. Once we do, we'll advertise that and share that with you all. But the goal to be have it out for a few weeks, then it'll go back to public safety to maybe narrow down. We anticipate multiple companies submitting proposals, so we'll narrow it down, bring it to public safety, and hopefully get a recommendation from the committee before council for a contract.
So Desiree, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Did you, you had mentioned there were what, 6 or 7 or 8 companies that might have been interested, or was that Douglas? I can't remember at the workshop, just
Yeah,
for
we
the
looked
public.
at those that responded to the most recent 2, which was Folly Beach and Hilton Head, and there were between 7 and 9. And we anticipate, my plan is to reach out to all of them directly and make them aware of the RFP, and anticipate, again, them submitting a
Do you
proposal.
think 2 weeks is long enough for a thorough response from these companies? or-
Probably 3. It's what I'm going to be aiming for.
And will you post this as well for the general?
Yes, we are required to advertise it in the paper, so we typically issue a notice in the Post and Courier, we put it on our website and send it out. We're proactive in sending it out directly to people who may be interested.
Excellent.
Other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Get that for me, I'm coming in now.
Yeah. Hey, Rusty, you're on.
Okay, well,
You're back
coming in.
live. Rusty, can you hear me? Put him on mute for a minute. Next item is new business consideration of recommendation from the Accommodations Tax Advisory Committee to approve the proposed fiscal '24 budget from Explore Charleston for the expenditure of the 30% state accommodation tax revenue from tourism promotion. Sorry. This has been unanimously approved by the ATAX Advisory Committee. Tonight, we have Kat and Laurie to present from us, and this presentation's in your packet. If you guys want to take it away, that'd be great.
Great, thank y'all. It's great to see you tonight. I did want to let you know before we get started that since I've not had the opportunity to present to y'all before, and we regularly present to the accommodation tax, I have included a little bit of backup and some actual visual examples of some of the things that we reference. So if any point something is unclear, please feel free to ask us questions. You know, we do this every day, so sometimes we forget to stop and give thorough explanations. But one thing that is for sure in spending the last year working with the ATAX committee, we have put a greater emphasis on branding the Isle of Palms digitally and across more digital outlets so that we can track them and bring surefire, measurable results to y'all. So the first page is what we are required by law to submit to the Tourism Expenditure Review Committee in Columbia, TURC for short. So this is how they break down the expenditures, and that's how we'll be going through the numbers. So you can see the amount budgeted from last year, and then where we are on the right-hand column going forward for the new fiscal. So here is just a further breakdown of the advertising and marketing support and what we're putting towards that. So let's start out with some of our websites and your presence on there. We've denoted which things are specific to Isle of Palms and are not part of our general beaches campaign. So this is exploreiop.net. And this past year, we went outside of our normal box of thinking, which, because we are a membership organization, before, if you had been on any of our websites, the only businesses listed had been members of Explore Charleston. With this year, we reached out, working with Desiree and her team, to all of the businesses on the island that would have an interest in tourism or getting more visitors to come to their business. And any of the ones that filled out the Google form, we sent it out in a physical postcard, and we also did multiple emails. They are, as long as they responded, they're on this site for free. There's no charge at all. So we have a whole variety of additional businesses that are not members of the CVB now listed at Explore IOP. And then we also have our Charleston area beaches website, which does really well on SEO. And this is the current Isle of Palms section, which also goes into lodging as well as dining. We're in the process of completely blowing up this site. It's taken a little bit longer than we had anticipated, so that work will continue into the new fiscal year, but we're very excited to rework this site and add some new features. And then one of my favorite things that we've been able to do over the past 2 years, really started during COVID, is to reach out to those folks that are now getting their entertainment through streaming, basically the cord cutters. Streaming or over-the-top broadcasting uses IP addresses instead of traditional broadcast or cable mediums to reach their audience. So this way we are able to treat this much more like Google Display or our social media platforms, in which we can pick household incomes. We can target by geography and interest. And that way we know that we are serving up to those people who are interested and want to come to our area. Now, these are just a small cross-section of some of the stations that you could see this on if you were watching them through an app or another kind of digital platform. But new for this fiscal year, we buy through Sinclair, Hulu, Netflix, Paramount, all these ones you see on the right that had not allowed for outside agencies to sell their advertising will be doing that now. They are all in the process of changing their own payment plan and actually going to an ad-based free program. So we now have access to their viewers, so it extends our reach even farther. And because this is driven by IP addresses, we can track right down to the household. So this is a very small snapshot of the dashboard that we have that is live. We can pull this up at any time and see what our performance is. So we break this down in two ways. Our direct fly markets as well as our drive markets. Our drive markets tend to be about 6 hours out from the Charleston area. Now you can see on the direct fly, we can see where those impressions are hitting the highest, and this is as today, and same on the drive market. So what that's measuring is if we put in, we want household incomes that start at 100,000 or higher, that are interested in travel, that like family vacations, that want to come to the beach, that are interested in food. This is going to hit those households, and these are the areas that are delivering the most by geography. So again, we can keep up with it through that.
Kat, is it?
Yes.
It's surprised Ohio is not on there. Is everybody left? I mean, is that the
They're
issue?
all here.
That's what I'm thinking.
They're not at home watching their TV. No, but I mean, we can drill down further. I just pulled the top ones
Gotcha.
in each, but we certainly do market to Ohio. I don't know if anyone wants to hear that, but
There's no direct fly to Ohio.
we do. We have
There is
several
now.
flights.
We have
Yeah.
direct flights to Ohio.
We
Yeah.
do, yes. You weren't looking to vacation there?
We might send him there, but that's a whole nother conversation.
All right, so moving on from streaming, this has been actually a really fun project to start, and Isle of Palms is the only local government that we are doing a campaign for with VRBO for. We brought this back to the ATAX committee in November. We started our first run in December, and it performed so well, we were like, God, we've got to go back and continue this through the end of the year. So that's what we're doing. Because it's not finished yet, I'm going to show you some preliminary numbers for this second run, but I'm also going to show you why we chose to go with VRBO and what they presented to us. But to date, since the second weekend of December to the middle of April, so not to date, but through the middle of April, we have booked over $3 million in gross revenue to VRBO owners on Isle of Palms. So it's a direct tracking, again, through IP addresses. So I'm going to walk you through that quickly. This is a profile. Because VRBO is owned by Expedia, the amount of data and the financial power they have to share this kind of information with us is really great. And a couple of things that piqued our interest here and why we chose them, you can see their average household income is over $100,000. 85% travel as a family group. They're interested in swimming, golf, outdoors. They prefer beach. So right away, looking like a good place for us to park some advertising. 80% of the group includes a family member, and let's see, we've got grandparents traveling. Again, that household income. They stay 3 times longer. They spend more money. And that all sounds attractive to us, right? Fewer people spending more money. Sounds good, right? So I'm sorry that I cannot get these screenshots bigger. We send the assets to VRBO, and then they actually make the creative. So I'm going to step away from the mic a second, but don't worry, I'm pretty loud still. So these are Isle of Palms specific. So what happens is, again, we can target household income. We can target dates of travel. So if we don't want to target for anyone coming June, July, and August, we do not have to. We can tell VRBO, we only want to advertise to people interested in coming October through April or October through May, which is, I think, something that's been of interest around the island. It's not pushing more people here in the summer. So this could be a search. People search Charleston. We have other search terms like beaches, family travel. But again, this is right on VRBO. Here's another ad, and here's another one. So the way they come up with the revenue is anyone that has served our ad based on their IP address and comes back within 30 days of seeing our ad and books a VRBO in Isle of Palms, they credit the ad, and that's where the gross revenue comes from. So you can see this is for March to the end of April. A lot of good information on this and things that we count on to do our job. So travel window. This changed a lot during COVID. People were making more short-term vacation plans. They weren't thinking 90 days out. You know, I know a lot of people, they get together at Christmas and they're like, where are we going this summer? That didn't really happen. So that trend is starting to go back to a longer travel window. So from the date that the vacation is booked to when they actually get here. So we can see that we have grown that to 90 days. Really great for planning. Then we can see the person count, the listing, and then how long they're staying versus hotels that are also booked on Expedia. And then we can even tell you what the top listings are for Isle of Palms. I'm going to tell y'all have listings up here going for $5,000 a night. Wow, that's pretty exciting. And the revenue that's generated that way. So we've got gross bookings, average daily rate, and then those top 5 that are producing the most room nights. So very interesting, specific to Isle of Palms. Again, we're not doing that for anybody else. And I think it's performing well. Some other things we're doing, you can see we've got paid Facebook, paid Instagram, and paid Google display, where Isle of Palms is listed and noted as the destination. Some of the print that we're doing, AAA, Southern Bride, Discover South Carolina, Coastal Living, Midwest Living, much smaller lists than what we were working with last year because we've decided to put more emphasis on the digital mediums. And then other areas that we have attributed some of the money for is research, data, and content. So we're really excited. We've met with the mayor, met with Desiree, and we're going to help support the community enrichment management study, which I think y'all have heard a little bit about. So that's in here. And then photography. Photography is one thing that we tell all of our businesses you cannot live without. Photography is used so much now on not just social, but all of our websites. And this year, or this current year we're in, we did a new photography project with the Palms, Seaside, and Sweetgrass Inn, where we captured all new photography of all 3 of those properties for us to use. We've also given them back to the properties, and we've shared those with the employees here at City Hall. They have unlimited use of those. But now we need to really dig down deeper, and we're working on a shot list so we can have more nature, more lifestyle, other things to do around the entire island to really help focus on all the benefits to coming here as well as some video. So it's not cheap to do those things, but we try to make sure that anything we're capturing content-wise has a shelf life of at least 5 years. And then the Know Before You Go, we were the presenting sponsor last year. Once again, we're the presenting sponsor this year. And as I'm sure y'all have all heard, the campaign is actually going longer. It started earlier, and it's going farther into the fall this year. And we're glad to work with our friends at Channel 4 on that project. Group sales, an important part of our visitor makeup, because you know what? When the meetings are here, they're inside. They're not on the street, but they're still spending money. So these are a list of the trade shows that we think have potential to bring leads out this way. And then I'm going to turn it over to my partner in crime, Laurie Smith.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for having us tonight. So from the media perspective, I think the number one thing that we have, the number one asset, I suppose, that we brought to the table is a shared staff person, and that in Chandra. And I think that we have only just begun there. We're really excited to get to have her in the office once a week in our offices, and also for her to be out here. We've already learned a lot from her, and I think she's learning a lot from us. So we're looking forward to that relationship. Media initiatives are generally regional in nature. Media, everything that Kat spoke to, they're paid initiatives that we have. media is all about earned opportunities. So you can't really pay people to write some articles about us, but they lend themselves to credibility because you have a third person writing about your destination. So we have a big focus in the media area from a earned marketing or from an earned media standpoint. This is a great example. So you all invested in the Beach Reach program with CARTA between the city and the town of Mount Pleasant. Certainly this is something that is beneficial for the island and also for the community. So our role here is to step in as your partner and to help get the word out about it. So this is just an example of something that landed today through our paid initiatives with CHS Today to help with that initiative this summer. And I mentioned Chandra. I just think we're going to be so much more on the same page, and we're just really excited about her joining our team. Visitor services is another category that we have applied some expenditures against. Now, while we don't have a visitor center on the island, we do have 4 area visitor centers, and people still come to visitor centers. They still want to talk to a local about what there is to see and do once they've arrived. We also have a call center where we entertain chats as well, where people are trying to plan their vacation, want to know where they can stay, what they can do, and so that's something that we help people to do before their arrival. Now, before we close out, what I really wanted to just say to you all is that it's been a rocky couple of years, and what I hope that you've seen from us is that our ears are open, that we are listening, and that we are really working to be the partner that you want us to be. We joked last year that, like, you've chosen us because you have to choose us, and it's like we want you to invite us to the dance. We don't want to just be at the dance because because we're your choice. Now, I won't say that the Accommodations Tax Committee is ready to put a ring on our finger, but I do hope that they have seen that we're anxious to listen. Several of the initiatives that you heard tonight, in fact, almost 40% of the initiatives that we have attributed to your accommodations tax are going specifically to Isle of Palms programs. You know, we'd never tried VRBO before, and we did. It was something that was a success, and so it's something that we're going to continue. So that's the kind of thing that we want to hear from you all about what you'd like to see us doing, because we could be missing an opportunity. We don't know it all, and we won't pretend to. But we also appreciate your role in the regional effort, because Isle of Palms is absolutely essential to our region and to our community. When we go out and talk about the community, we've got to have Isle of Palms in that mix. So thank you for sticking with us and for having faith in us and continuing the dialogue. And we'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
John.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. Our job in when we do community surveys and even our strategic documents all have a balance between tourism and residents. And I see some changes here that I think are in the right direction, so I applaud you for that. Listening to our ATAX committee, I applaud our ATAX committee for pushing forward some of these things. In particular, I think, is the VRBO, where you're targeting a certain visitor to the island. And I want to say more about that, because last year when we developed this partnership we finally got Chandra on board, the whole, or at least my of what she contribute was really around branding the island. And I see that, you're targeting audiences, but I don't know if we have a brand. And I really would like to see us focus, because when you go back to what I said initially, which is a balance between visitors and residents, how we brand the island can help that, along all the other initiatives we're working on. But, if we target families that stay longer, that spend more money, that benefits everywhere. It's less noise. It's less, parties at 2 a.m. And I would like to see some more efforts done on how we brand the island to draw those type of visitors to the island. And I think that's a start, what you're doing, but I still don't think we have it fully baked yet on how we really optimize that. So,
Absolutely, and I think that's something that's going to grow as we all spend more time together, and
Yeah.
we're happy to work on that.
yeah. And I would encourage, Chandra to be, to help drive that and be the liaison back to the community on what that brand should look like, and then come back to you and focus, how do you then get that brand out to the, to the potential market?
And I think that's something else where photography can really help us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Blair?
Yeah, thank you so much for coming and for your presentation. Three quick issues. One is I want to echo what John just said, that everybody that I talk to says, we don't need more people on the island. We need more dollars per person, and that's part of the brand, is to upscale what Isle of Palms is, which has typically been known as a blue-collar beach. And so I think that's obviously very important. At the beginning, with the budget, you had 20% for marketing support. Can you talk about what marketing support is? And then is there also, which I assume there is, when you're placing advertising, typically commissions come back to y'all, and want to know if that's true, where those commissions go?
We don't have any commissions.
Okay, so it's,
No, we.
so you're making no commission buys?
No, and we don't, that's precisely why we don't use an agency. I do all the placement myself. This is a lot of time. But real quick, if I could touch on both, we can always, on these digital buys, we can up the household income. If we're at $100,000 now per household, there's nothing to say we can't start it at 150 or 200,000. I mean, that's as easy as just putting that into the parameters. So if that's something y'all in ATAX would like to see, a higher household income in our target marketing, you can do it tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm not here to tell you how to exactly all I'm saying in general, I think our goal should be to draw more families, higher income, people that spend more time and more money on the island, not the ones that come for a 4-day party that, go down to downtown and come back at 2 in the morning and not spend money here. So we want to optimize the spend here on the island.
Absolutely.
So we hear you. We have exclusive branding and family focus recorded. I do want to address the question about marketing support. So these are the categories that the state laid out for us. I know it's kind of vague, but for us, we put research into marketing support. So these are, from our thinking, they're items that we need in order to do our marketing work. So research is included in that category. We've got the tourism management plan is not what we're calling it. Community enrichment plan. The walkability study is factored into this equation at $50,000. So those are the kinds of things that are in here, and I think it's gone line item by line item. But to echo, we don't receive any commissions.
Thank you.
Blair, was that all three of yours? Did
Yes,
you get?
sir.
Okay.
I'm done.
I can only wish.
Scott? Go ahead, Jeff.
I'll make this quick. I was just pleased to see that you're concentrating on photography. A few years ago, I think we asked for you to do something for us on the website and put up an image with it, and an image of Sullivan's Island appeared on our website. So I'm glad to know that we will have exclusive Isle of Palms images for Isle of Palms use with your media. So thank you very
And
much.
it'll be shared back with Chandra and the team at
Yes.
City Hall. So.
Right. So your staff will be able to use the images. You'll have access to those images as well.
Scott?
Yeah, my question is, I think your presentation is really on the right track. I'm very happy to see what you're doing, but it also looks like Expedia can provide you a number of analytics that kind of show you the demographics of who's coming here. Would you be open to, and I'm guessing, do you have direct access to that, or do you have to ask them to produce it, or you can basically run your own reports?
No, they produce it for us. I do not have a live dashboard with them, like I do for streaming and some of our other, but they're produced on demand.
Okay, so, well, where I was going with this is, I think it goes to what John and Blair and everybody was saying. Once we start trying to get a brand for ourselves, I noticed on your print media, placements. You know, you've got the bridal, you've got all kinds of different varieties, from families to the bachelor and bachelorette parties. Can
Oh,
we-
no, we don't market to
Wait.
bachelor and bachelorette
Well,
parties.
you're advertising in the bridal magazines, or?
We are, but specific to destination weddings,
Okay.
not.
Well, along with the weddings
Well,
come the others. I see them quite frequently where I live, which is fine. I'm not complaining about it. But where I'm going is, could you come back, say, in a few months and tell us kind of who is visiting our island? I don't think that's a visibility that we've ever had before, and I would be interested if those are statistics or just kind of demographics of, yeah, exactly. Like who's coming, what kind of people are coming, families, groups, what have you, and for the duration. I'd be very interested in kind of getting an update through the year to see how that's going. That's a visibility we have not had.
No, it's insane. So absolutely, we should have the second campaign will be finished at the end of June, so probably about August. And what I can ask them to do is make sure the report includes the first 6-week run that we did from December to February, and then rounding out the year. So absolutely.
Okay, and can you get more than just percentages? You can get the actual numbers of.
I'll have to ask.
Okay.
This is our first year. This is the
Oh, this is
first
great.
time we've
This is
ever
great
worked
stuff.
with them. So
Good.
we're excited to, and we can ask.
Good.
All they can say is no, but
Yeah.
let's hope they say yes.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you guys very much for what y'all have done. I know y'all have listened, and it seems like we have made big steps towards where I think people are asking us to go. So thank you for your efforts.
Thanks for
as
having us
always.
tonight.
Yeah. So we need a motion and a second to approve this budget.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion?
This was also recommended unanimously by the Accommodations Tax Advisory Committee.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Thank you. Thank you, Explore Charleston, appreciate it. And I think most of these items under new business we've talked about in some form or fashion at our workshop, so hopefully we can run through fairly quickly. Our next one is consideration of partnership with the Law Enforcement Neighborhood Support Lens to establish paid internship in the police department. Desiree, you want to add anything here, or?
So the city has had an internship program. The police department actually, I think, have hosted, if not one, 2 folks already. It has not been paid. This would just mean that the city would accept a partnership where the Lens program provides the city with a donation that would allow the city to pay for the hours worked by the intern. The duties, the selection, everything would be managed by our police department. The only involvement that the Lens organization is offering is the funds to support a paid internship, which we currently do not. Currently do not have.
Do these interns ultimately become officers in the past, or what has been the history?
I would have the chief address that. I think that regardless whether they become an officer with the city, I think that giving that exposure is significant. We see it across the board, whether it's in our police department or in another police department, or maybe they are interested in another city service. But the chief can speak more specifically on the folks that we've hosted and what impact, I guess, our internship has made on them.
And my question is not to say it's bad if they're not. I'm just
Sure.
wanted to understand, is this like a recruiting tool to get ultimate police, or is this just to give exposure for, to someone to policing or not?
We would love it if they interned with us and became a police officer. So far, we've had 3 since I've been here, and unfortunately, not a single one has become a police officer for us. I think one will become a police officer for a state agency. But, they came and, the benefit for us is even if they become a state agency, that's a contact we have and a resource and a partner that we can pull on later on. But ideally, in our world, what we would want to do, as this became more robust with interns, we would want to target interns that we could hopefully have a future with as an employee in a police officer or even a non-sworn position.
Okay.
I guess, Chief, we have had a BSO. Today, you just pinned a BSO, previous BSO that's on, not through the internship program, but there is a path, potentially.
Correct. We've had several beach service officers that have become police officers here and in other places in the state. So that actually is more of what I've seen, it's more of a route to police officer than the interns have been so
Yeah.
far.
John, did that,
Yeah, I guess my question also, just now that you mention it, is what's the difference between an intern and a BSO? Are they doing the same role?
What we have done with our interns in the past, typically we get them during the school year, so they're not here for the beach service officer jobs. We'll use those to help file reports and to help us get all of our filing done, answering phones and doing some of those administrative tasks. And then because most of them are criminal justice students, we make sure that they spend time with every part of the police department so that they leave with knowledge about the department as well.
so it's typically a non-summer timeframe? to-
That's
while
correct,
they're
yes,
here.
sir.
Sorry, Blair.
Desiree, it's my understanding, and please tell me if I'm right or wrong, that there's an expectation that the city is going to be giving more money to the LENS program that would support this internship. Is that accurate?
No. The Lens program received a grant in 2022 from the city for $10,000, and they've presented some documentation in how they've spent that in supporting specifically the law enforcement. They came back last year for a 2023 grant, but they have since withdrawn that request. So there is no pending additional request for monies from the city. This would be done, and I have asked the Lens organizers for confirmation that this would come and be funded by their private donations that they receive directly to the organization, not by the funds, the ATAX grant funds that they received from the city in 2022.
Thank you.
Jan?
I just had a question for the chief. Do you think maybe being paid might be an incentive for them to come back? I mean, it seems like if the BSOs are being paid and going into police service, maybe
It
that
could
would
be,
help.
yeah. So I do want to go back. I was wrong. We had one that went state, and I did have one intern that is now with the United States Secret Service. So he went federal, which is a great contact for us as well. But to answer your question, until we do it, I won't know. But I will say that our last intern that we had this year, he did a lot of recruiting for our beach service officers before he left. It was actually part of his, when I have an intern, I give them a project. And at the end of their term, they have to present this project to me. And his project was about recruiting beach service officers, and it paid off very well. We've had several Citadel cadets that have applied for beach service officer positions and are employed here now for that. So it's paid out. Even if it wasn't paid, it's been beneficial in getting BSOs for the summer.
Good.
And
Thank you.
if I may, Mayor, the Municipal Association has been pushing municipalities in embracing paid internship programs across the state. As you all know, recruiting for government jobs is very, very difficult. And we're dealing with a deficit, essentially, not only the police department, much more in the police department because of all the issues that we see nationwide that would stop somebody from maybe pursuing a career in law enforcement. So I think it's part of a general effort at trying to improve recruitment, not only for the police department, but I think it sets a good message to the community that the city, it's investing in that and doing it in a way that attracts more people, hopefully for the future.
And I would say that our goal would not be just to target criminal justice students. There are a lot of avenues in our work that we could use people with other careers or other degrees, and we would certainly work to get some of those, maybe media communication degrees, those different things. So we wouldn't specifically go towards criminal justice students.
Well, it's interesting. Some of your new folks today you had 2 previous armed forces, right?
That's correct, yes,
Yeah.
sir.
It's interesting. Any questions, comments, Desiree? Chief, anything else?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Rusty, any questions from your side?
No questions. Thank you.
Yep. We need a motion and a second.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next item, again, we've discussed this one, consideration of 2023 surfing application from Bryson Marshall to pass, IOP surf lessons.
Motion approved.
Second.
Any further questions? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Next item is consideration of pursuing the design of the next underground and utility lines projects at 14th Avenue and the end of 41st Avenue and the IOP Marina. Just real quick, by way of background, several years ago, staff met with Dominion to identify top 5 projects for undergrounding. We've completed one of those, as you're familiar, at 21st and Palm. The next 2 they are identifying in conversations with staff is 14th Avenue, as you're coming over the connector, and then at the marina, and hopefully we can tie that time frame together when we're doing the 41st Avenue drainage project, since it'll be torn up at that point anyway. Desiree, anything to add to, or Douglas, anything to add?
No, sir.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Second.
Questions, comments? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Thank you. Next item is consideration of recommendation from the Administration Committee to appoint Tim Amudi to the Planning Commission vacancy.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Questions, Jimmy?
Would like to know, read the resumes of all 5 candidates, and they're very impressive. Like to know why the committee selected this individual, based on his qualification and especially his community service.
Yeah, I'll answer that. There were 5 candidates. I would like to say that they were exceptional candidates. I was really impressed with the level of the candidates that applied. And I've gone out and encouraged all of them to, there'll be more openings on the committee to reapply, because I think they're all viable candidates. Tim is somebody that's been in the community for a long time. He has a background in construction and building, knows the issues, and seemed to have a good handle on them. So we felt like he was the best of the group.
I think to add to that, he also had an urban planning background.
Well, I'd just like to say, I'm sorry that Mr. Mitchell was not picked. He would have been my pick if I was on the committee, Mark Mitchell.
Yeah. I will say that, and I said this to Mr. Mitchell, but he, out of all the information supplied, he had the least. He didn't attach a resume. It just seemed like his heart wasn't in it. And actually didn't show up for the interview we had scheduled on the first day, so without any notification. So, yeah, I feel differently than you, Jimmy, obviously, but I think the committee was unanimous in Tim.
I watched the meeting, and it was pretty rough with Mr. Mitchell.
Rusty, anything you want to add? You're the 3rd member of the committee with John and Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. What I would add is pretty much, I think it was stated earlier by either Councilmember Bogosian or Councilmember Pierce. These are all very good candidates, and we gave them basically the same kind of questions throughout, and it was a tough choice to narrow it down. And again, we came up with what we felt like was the best candidate at this point, based on the interview we had, based on the background that they had presented, and based on the information that they said that each of them said they thought they could provide to the Planning Commission and in service of the city. And we also know that going forward, and this was stated very clearly in our committee meeting also, that there will be future vacancies on the Planning Commission coming up. And we encouraged every one of them that were, that had applied to apply again if they wish to. And of course, that same offer is open to anybody else that's a citizen of the island also. So I think we all made the decision together and supported the final candidate.
And John, I think this is an expired term that ends end of next year.
End of
Is that right?
24.
The 24.
Right. That's correct.
Okay. And to your point, we'll have others roll off this year that.
Well, there's 4 others that will roll off this year. Now, some of those may have the option of re-upping,
Yeah.
but we feel like there'll be at least a couple, probably, vacancies within the year.
Gotcha. We have a motion already.
Yes.
Motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Next item is consideration of recommendation from the Administration Committee to appoint Chris Skipper as Associate Judge. I think we've had an
Motion.
increase in our court cases, unfortunately, and just feel the need for additional capacity. So is there a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Desiree, anything to add from your side?
So Chris Skipper currently serves the city as the city prosecutor. In order to backfill his position, we've issued a request for proposal that's due June 16th. So we'll be evaluating candidates to serve on that role. Once that city prosecutor role is in place, then Mr. Skipper will be transitioned into the associate judge role.
It's hard to know who you're talking about when you say Mr. Skipper. That's not what we call him. Any other questions, comments? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next item is consideration and approval of the Police Department K-9 unit. You'll recall this was one of the items from the police and staff as a response to the incident on the beach on April 7th. This is kind of part of the big budget number that we approved for them a few weeks ago. There's already been donations of about $9,000. I've had other residents express interest in contributing for the cost offset of this. I'm sure there'll be additional cost. Douglas sent out a budget, first-year budget and an ongoing number. Is that this morning, today that you sent that? Thank you. So if we can have a motion and a second.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Second.
Other questions or discussion? Jan?
Okay. I'd just like to ask the chief how useful a K-9 unit will be on a daily basis. I understand that we have incidents where it's important, but what else, what other uses will the dog have other than as a mascot for the group?
So they are much more than a mascot for a police department. I've worked with police K-9s throughout my entire career as a special operations police officer, as a narcotics officer, as a fugitive officer, as a chief. They have so many uses as far as combating narcotics or drugs that are being trafficked or brought onto our island and keeping those from landing in the hands of our children. They play a critical role in keeping guns off of our streets. And it just, if somebody, for instance, on May 6th, when we had our planned event and we had our large presence of law enforcement out here, somebody decided that it would be a great day to break into a house. So they broke into a house and they stole a car and got a couple blocks away and they abandoned the vehicle. We had 6 K-9 units from North Charleston Police Department that were here, put their dog on the ground. The dog took us straight towards the location where the suspect was apprehended for the burglary. That is invaluable police work that our officers may have been able to do, but it was certainly strengthened and encouraged because of the work that the dog was able to do for us. So this dog would be a detection dog for narcotics and also certified in tracking. That would be our goal for it. Not an apprehension dog. There's a difference in apprehension and just tracking, and this would not be an apprehension dog.
Thank you.
And Mayor, if I may, we have the opportunity to send our officer to training with the dog on June 5th. So this is why it's happening very quickly. Wanted to get your blessing, even though this was something that we discussed at the Public Safety Committee in more depth. Certainly very supportive of this recommendation, and I think that we've been very lucky to be able to implement it so quickly.
The chief, between your paddy wagon and this dog, man, you are magic.
We're working on it. We've had some great resources that have done some donations for us. The dog essentially will cost us nothing for the actual purchase of the dog, and that is an expensive tool that we are able to get donated.
Yeah. Well, like I say, I know there've been a handful of residents reach out directly and wanting to make contributions, so we'll make sure they do that. And I think Lynn's has been interested in contributing as well. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Chief, thank you. Seriously,
Thank you
just
all.
sit down right there, man. Next item is consideration of recommendation from the Administration Committee to award the Spirit of Island Award to the following nominees: Ted Kinghorn and Acme Low Country Kitchen. Just by way of quick reminder, this is the Spirit of the Island Award. Councilmember Ward, we put it in 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago.
2 years,
maybe.
yeah, 2
I
years
think we've
ago.
had 2 recipients. It's a prestigious award that recognizes an individual or an organization who have made significant contributions to the life and well-being of the Isle of Palms. This award will recognize an individual or organization's remarkable single achievement or community service and volunteerism. These two are coming nominated unanimously by the administration committee. We have a motion.
You're going to take them one at each discussion?
Do it either way.
Yes.
You can do
Each.
you can do- All right. First, Ted Kinghorn.
So, must be.
You want to have a motion so we can discuss?
Yeah.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Second. Thank you. Jimmy?
Always try to be positive, you know. He had a letter recommendation from Linda Tucker. So, you know, she was a past administrator.
Yeah, one or two more were in there, I think.
Jim Thompson, I think,
Jim Thompson was the
nominated. Yeah.
originator. And then Linda, and I thought there was one more.
His wife.
Dennis McClendon, Mr.
That's
Mayor,
right, from the Teeter, yeah.
The mayor of Harris Teeter.
Yeah.
Got it.
Sorry, Blair.
Thank you, Mayor. I am not going to vote against this because I don't want to taint the honor, and I expect that it's going to pass regardless of my vote. However, it gives me concern simply because Mr. Kinghorn is part of the LENS program, and we, as a council, gave the LENS program last year $10,000 to kickstart that program. Because of that, I believe that we should have full transparency with the LENS program, where money's coming from, how money is being spent, because we were integral in starting that program. And Mr. Kinghorn has refused to do that and is not being transparent with the LENS program. And because of that, it gives me concern. And I just want that to be on the record that's, in my opinion, inappropriate and something that we should have full transparency on. Thank you, Mayor.
Yep. And I know, again, just for clarity, on the other side of this story, there was documentation in the ATAX Advisory Committee last week showcasing where the 5,000 of the 10,000 contribution or grant has gone at this point, and it's been for the National Night Out, I believe, was the primary expense on the LENS side. So there has been documentation provided, whether it's to everybody's liking. That's a personal decision, obviously. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Thank you. Next is Acme Low Country Kitchen. I know they had, recommended by Councilmember Ward, also had one other resident with a recommendation as well. Jim, anything you want to add, or?
Well, Acme just steps up. They are never asked. They just do it on their own. And when we had the trouble on April 7th, they put it out there for everybody to see. All first responders, didn't care where they came from, were offered free meals at Acme. City employees get a nice discount there. During 4th of July and always during after storms and stuff, they've always stepped up and helped the community and given away an awful lot of food and beverages into soft drinks, I'm sure, and coffee, to the community. And I think they are the embodiment of the Spirit of the Island Award, because they just step up and they're an example for all of us to follow.
Jan?
I'd like to second what Councilman Ward said. I was over at the Public Service Safety Building the other day, standing out front, and there were a group of firefighters that had just come back from a call, full regalia, and they were heading for Acme. I mean, it's just, they know they're welcome there, and it's really nice to know that there is a business in the community that welcomes them with open arms at all times. Thank you for doing that for us.
Anybody else?
Mr. Mayor?
Yep.
Mr. Rustin? Yes. I'd just like to add that I think in the, no pun intended, but in the Spirit of the Island Award, if we have citizens that step up and nominate individuals, or in this case, Acme Low Country Grill, which is a wonderful institution too, I think if we have those kind of nominations that are coming sincerely from someone, and they have the supporting documentation that we're asking for with letters of recommendation, I had no hesitancy being on the committee and voting for either one of them, for Ted Kinghorn as an individual and so in the contributions that he's made, and I know we've had a vote on that, but individual contributions. I looked at what the contributions were he had made. Acme Low Country Grill, again, they are a standout among a lot of our businesses who all do good works on this island. We have no shortage of businesses who really step up, but to Councilmember Ward's point and to others, they really do go above and beyond in a time of need every time. So I had no hesitancy in voting for them either.
Blair.
My only comment was they use way too much butter in all of their dishes.
Is that a bad thing?
I don't know.
Is that why you're there 4 times a week?
That's it.
Yeah. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Thank you. Next is Boards and Commissions Report. Board of Zoning Appeals, no meeting in May. Planning Commission, minutes are attached. Accommodations Tax Advisory Committee, the minutes are attached. Environmental Advisory Committee, minutes are attached. Desiree, do we vote on these?
No, sir.
No.
It's like it's my first council. Next is ordinances, resolutions, and petitions. This is first is second reading, ordinance 2023-06 to increase the short-term rental license base rate by $100.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Further questions, comments?
Just one
Yes.
question, is this retroactive? So if you've already got your license in, you're safe?
You're good.
Okay.
Future.
So any new applications we receive will be due the additional $100.
Thank you.
Yep. Jimmy.
Mr. Mayor, is it appropriate at this time to ask Douglas about where the short-term rental licenses for the upcoming year or the year starting May 1st stand?
Yeah, I think he and I had a conversation. Sorry?
Didn't we get an email with that in it?
We did. So we had a conversation today about that. I think we'll have a full report at our workshop in second week in June, if that's all right, because I think we'll have all the dust settled, mostly 99.
The dust will be settled,
Yeah.
Everybody's got a question about what is this items in the queue.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about that in June.
Yeah, I think we'll be in a better spot in 2 weeks to have a full conversation, some analysis on prior year and some analysis on where we sit for current year. Is that fair, Douglas?
That's good, because it's a really hot topic and people are asking.
Agree.
Yeah, thank you.
Katie, did you have your hand up? Sorry. No. Okay. Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
Nay.
Next ordinance, 2023-07, to raise revenue and adopt a budget for the city of Isle of Palm, South Carolina for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2023 and ending June 30th, 2024.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Thank you. First reading, and just as a reminder, these are first readings only. If they're approved, they go back to committee for review or edits, and then we'll talk about them at the workshop.
Title only, right?
Correct.
Okay.
So for further discussion, second reading will be at next council, so this full council will have at least 2 more shots at having some conversation around each of these, but tonight we're just approving by title only. So ordinance 2023-02 to regulate e-bikes and battery-assisted motorized skateboard on the beach.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Ordinance 2023-08 to adopt a new noise ordinance.
So propose.
Have a motion
So move.
Second.
and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Nicole, sorry. You okay? Ordinance 2023-09 to clarify position of city attorney and to include provisions for the appointment of city prosecutor.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, no, after we finish this.
Okay. Ordinance 2023-10 to authorize the city to enter into an intergovernmental agreement related to the South Carolina Local Revenue Services to participate in one or more local revenue service programs, to execute and deliver one or more participant program supplements and other matters.
So move.
Just say yes.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Resolutions and proclamations. Proclamation 2023-02 to proclaim May 20th through 26th as National Safe Boating Week. This is something this council has done for many years. So if there is a motion to waive reading and approve.
Motion to approve and waive the reading.
Second.
Thank you. Questions, comments?
Is this for
National Safety
next
Beach
year?
Day.
No, they got it to us a little late.
I
Last year we
just-
did
I
it,
was
we're right in the
gonna
middle
say,
of it.
it's-
Yeah.
it's this week
We
right
missed a couple of
now.
days, we'll go a couple of days.
Be
yeah.
safe yesterday.
Memorial Day coming up, just make it
I'm
happen.
just making sure I was
Nope,
missing something.
thank you, good question.
We've already been safe a couple of days.
Thank goodness. Now we got a resolution to go with it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No need for executive session? No
Motion
further-
to adjourn.
I think
Oh, Bear, sorry.
If I could, with the noise ordinance, we've struggled on that noise ordinance for a long time, and I'm not changing my vote.
I know, hang on, we need to suspend the rules of order if we're gonna have some conversation around it, because it's by title only.
Motion to suspend the rules of order.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nay.
All I wanted to say with the noise ordinance is we struggled with this for a long time. I don't believe, and I don't think other people on the committee believe that it's perfect by any stretch of the imagination. But it's something that we have to put in place now and see how it goes. And I would urge not only Wild Dunes, but all the residents as well to see how this works. And let's look at this again in the fall and see if it needs to be tweaked. It's my expectation that it very well may need to be tweaked.
There be no further business?
Wait a minute, we
I
can,
got a comment.
we opened it up. We opened it up.
You
We
opened it
got,
up.
let
Go.
us speak. Yeah.
All right, I would just like to say that I'm hoping that we are just going to adopt this ordinance for 6 months and then come back and revisit it, but that's fine.
All right, any other comments?
Just reiterate, we are going to talk about it at the workshop again. We'll
It'll go
through.
back to committee, come back to workshop, come back to council. Yep, so this body will have at least 2 more shots, Scott, to have some discussion and conversation. Being no further business.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.